what's going on, guys? Today we're going over Jamie Lee's newest panel, where she mentioned that Jason Blum is extremely cheap, along with just the blueprint of Blumhouse making movies for practically nothing, making a huge profit, and then not giving the people who worked on said project the right amount of money. Even though they might agree on something, it's kind of like you're working with the biggest studio already. So are you really going to try to highball them when they're the biggest name in all of horror right now? Blumhouse could release The Conjuring 400 and it would probably come out to make about, 500 million in the first 2 weeks. I don't understand how all the new Conjuring universe does so well. So it's not shocking that she really tried to hold them captive, Blumhouse that is, and say, like, if you want me for all three movies, I'm really signing up for just one, so you better give me a big-ass vanity deal, is pretty much the way she said it. And you can't blame her, because other than just one movie, what did Jamie Lee really have to offer to this entire trilogy? 2018 Halloween is, to me, in the top 5, maybe even top 3 of the entire franchise of Michael Myers, Halloween, whatever you want to call it. It's awesome. Love that fucking movie. She's okay in it. She's probably the worst part of the entire trilogy for me, though, guys. Especially Halloween Kills. Every moment that happens in that fucking hospital, all the evil dies tonight shit, they make the dude fucking hop out the window when he's like, looks like a hobbit. That's terrible. That's the worst part of the entire trilogy. That is the worst part of the entire trilogy for me. The fact that they're just in that hospital for like 30 minutes of Halloween Kills, which otherwise is just nonstop action, practically a Jason movie featuring Michael Myers. Just how many people does he kill in Halloween Kills? It's got to be over 30 or 40 people, right? Considering the scene in the street and the firefighter scene, obviously, which they fucked up showing in the trailer big time. Best part of that movie is the firefighter scene. Legendary stuff. The whole trilogy is a ton of fun. I could go back and watch it right now. I even have a pretty big guilty pleasure with Halloween Ends. But also in that movie, Laurie did not need to be in that movie. Allison would have been fine with just being the main character. Same with Corey. He should not have died in that movie. If he's so powerful from Michael's supernatural just looking into him, and now he kind of gained, even just if it's like 10% of Michael's evil power, whatever you want to call it, you telling me Corey just stabs himself in the neck and dies, and that's pretty much it? That was a kick in the nuts, and it just felt like they were kind of riding around Laurie past the first film, which makes no sense. They were dying for her to be in these movies, which says to me it's like they thought if you weren't going to come to these movies for Michael, you'll be here for Laurie Strode. Because, she's the classic final girl. You got to have the classic final girl, kind of like in Scream 7, they're like, let's bring Sydney back. It's not a Scream movie without Sidney Prescott. And I kind of agree with that, even though I would be fine for the Scream franchise to move in a whole different territory. I don't care if any of the legacy cast remains in the movies. As long as Ghostface is there, I'll be there, and as his iconic voice and the phone calls. It's similar with Michael Myers. I would be there regardless. I don't care if I'm the main character, you're the main character, Blue's Clues is the main character. It's the main character. I don't give a fuck. Anyone could be the protagonist in these movies as long as Michael Myers is traversing through Haddonfield. I don't give a fuck if you send the dude to Manhattan, Jason style. Doesn't matter to me. I'll be there regardless. You don't have to have Jamie Lee's carcass in this movie just walking around saying things that you can tell it's just like, God, I'm not going to say that any of her performances were phoned in, because she's an all-star actress. She's been around the block, guys. She is Laurie Strode. I can't take that away from her. But as a fan, when I'm sitting there watching these movies, I just can't help but be like, man, this screen time would be so much better utilized either with just another character getting gutted by Michael Myers. But, we didn't really have that kind of relationship with a Dr. Loomis in this trilogy, did we? And, for obvious reasons, I guess maybe she was supposed to be our Dr. Loomis, Laurie that is, or maybe the town is. A lot of times the town, especially in part 2, they let this evil that they're so scared of fester over and turn them in a little bit of Michael Myers theirself when they go kill this little short bastard, or they're just losing their mind pretty much attacking each other in that godforsaken hospital. But I know I'm kind of just rambling about each movie at this point. But you're telling me that you absolutely had to have Jamie Lee for all three movies to the point where she would push Jason Blum to give her this vanity trilogy deal that, I'm not going to sit here and clamor for each of them. Jamie Lee doesn't need a ton more money, even though she deserves it, considering they needed her for all three of these movies. And she's Jamie Lee Curtis. And, Blumhouse, I'm not going to sit here and vouch for the billionaire horror company. They make dog shit half the time. And then, like I mentioned with the new Conjuring universe, or they just make these movies that, as a horror fan, it is the most bland thing on the planet. Like, I would consider myself a huge slasher fan. Right now, I'm a mega slasher fan. Here lately, I've not been into like paranormal, or I've been kind of more into like a time bending, like mindfuck type thing lately, like Coherence, Triangle, movies like that. If you haven't watched those, go check them out. They're on Tubi, by the way. But I'm sorry. I'm just saying, guys. Like, I don't feel that Jamie Lee needed to be in these movies. I don't know if Jason Blum or Blumhouse himself, pretty much the same thing, said we have to have her in these movies, hell or high water, because looking back on it, I think we would all agree that her granddaughter being the main character would have been fine. It could have been just fine if Laurie was in one of these movies. I don't know. I don't care if she would have died, because she's died enough times at this point in the franchise. It doesn't really matter to me what happens to her. She's not that Sidney Prescott character that you feel like is totally required for me to go to the big screen and sign up for this or watch it on Peacock like we had to with Halloween Ends after one day. I love the movie theater experience. I love Halloween. I'll be there for till the day I die watching Michael Myers do crazy shit. But, whatever happens in the next few years with the franchise, I don't feel any character is entitled to a role, even if said studio making Halloween feels they have to have this person in this film. Other than Laurie, I don't feel anyone feels that they are necessarily owed a spot in this franchise. Donald Pleasance back in the day, it's like he has to be in the movie. Of course, the poor fella has passed away now. Absolute icon. He is the character in these movies that back in the day it was like, holy shit, it's Dr. Loomis. Has almost as much aura, as the kids say, as Michael Myers. Laurie just doesn't. In the first Halloween movie, I love her. She's awesome. I love the entire movie. It's a top 3 horror film of all time, undebatably, right? We can all agree that Halloween 1 is an absolute masterpiece, 10 out of 10, nothing wrong with the movie. But it's just, other than Michael and Laurie in that movie, there's nothing really that puts its DNA on Halloween besides Michael Myers and just, the soundtrack and just Carpenter's vibes of that film. Just an absolute masked maniac could be chasing after anybody. And in part 2, I know Carpenter hates part 2, and I enjoy part 2, the original, but the parts in the hospital can get a little slow, and then they push in the part where Laurie is Michael's sister. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. It just never added much to the lore for me, where I felt super intrigued to turn on the TV and be like, holy shit, it's Laurie Strode. No, I'm waiting for Michael Myers to come gut her friends, and maybe even her if we're lucky enough to see her get her head hacked off. I don't know. I wish, maybe I'm just a little bit salty. And Halloween Ends, it would have been nice, instead of him getting his head hacked off or ground up into hamburger this time around, maybe we could have just seen Laurie go down with him. They could have both died in that kitchen. The finale fight was terrible. They made Michael Myers 80 years old, and I'm well aware Laurie's old as shit in this movie too, because it's been since 78 since that happened. But God, the second they made Michael old in this movie, it was just senior on senior action. Laurie versus Michael. They may as well have been fighting in a fucking nursing home. It was terrible. Not very conclusive whatsoever. Even worse than the Stranger Things finale. I'd rather watch Elle fucking rip Vecna off the heart of the Mind Flayer and put him to that stake 1,000 times. rather than just watch Michael get beat up by Lori and her granddaughter, get stabbed in his hand, and they carry him through town. And I can't remember what all happens to him in the kitchen. It's shot so dark, shot like shit. You can't see enough. It lasts like 3 minutes, which, yeah, when two senior citizens are fighting, I can't imagine it would last too long. That should have never happened. Michael's evil from Halloween Kills. They made it such a time jump from, the COVID bullshit. And I don't know if they were just like, yeah, we have to make Michael old in this movie. Let's pretty much just make Christine because we're on a trilogy deal and I'm fucking sick of Michael Myers. That's kind of how the Halloween Ends felt. I enjoy it as a lore story, or just kind of like looking back on the franchise. There are so many traditional films of Michael Myers just going through Haddonfield and stabbing bitches. It's like this one is different enough for me to feel unique when I watch it. Corey on the motorcycle, the old memes of Michael on the back. How did he traverse through town? Love it, hilarious. But when we walked into the theater and saw him beating the hell out of Michael in the sewer, we all knew something was wrong. But I'm not gonna ramble on all day about the trilogy. Jamie Lee, you deserve that money. Jason Blum, you didn't need to have her in these movies. Simply said, Michael Myers needs to come back to the big screen soon enough. I don't care if he's chasing around fucking Oompa Loompas or McDonald's employees. I'll be there regardless. Have a good day, guys.